Welcome to the Monster in My Head Show, a podcast where we talk to real people about the real insecurities that a lot of us face, as well as discuss the unique ways to overcome them. I am Bree, your host. Today's a very special episode because I'm not going to be talking to a guest. I'm going to be talking directly to you. But we're talking about a topic I'm really passionate about, which is what to do when it feels like your life is out of control. So before we get into it, I do want to say that this episode was inspired by a song that I have coming out on Friday called Crazy Stupid Life. The song is all about basically this: when life feels completely out of control, what do you do? How do you deal with it? It's a song that's really close to my heart and what I'm really excited for you to listen to. So if you want to pre-save it, you can do so in the description, or if you're listening to this later, it's already out. Go ahead and listen to it. I would love to hear your thoughts on it, and we'll talk about it more after the episode. So the first tip when you're feeling like things are out of control is to reflect on the times in your past when things have felt out of control and they've worked out okay. Sometimes when you're in a situation in life where it's like really bad, where maybe something horrible happened or something unexpected happened that you kind of don't know how to handle, it might seem really overwhelming. It might seem like, okay, well, nothing like this has happened to me in the past. What do I even do? But what I've noticed for myself is that when something like that happens, I do tend to reflect back on when was another time that things felt insane, when I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know what my next move was. And then it was okay and it worked out. Even though that situation is not the exact same thing, I think kind of holding on to the fact that like everything worked out eventually. Did it work out the way that you wanted? Probably not, but you're still here and you're okay. If you feel like you have to write those down, specific instances like this thing happened and I felt like I was going to die, and then this is how it worked out and now I'm still okay. Reminding yourself of those examples, I think, is really important as you're walking through a lot of unknown. The second tip that I have is taking a really zoomed out approach to the problem. So I know for me, the things in my life that have felt out of control in my past have been not knowing what I was going to do with my life. So feeling so overwhelmed with this issue that felt so big in my mind. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? Where do I want to go? What direction do I want to take? And this problem would consume me and make me feel so out of control because I didn't know what to do. So something that I started doing was kind of taking a step back, taking a breath, and remembering where I am. We are on a planet spinning in the middle of nowhere in a massive galaxy that has 13 billion stars in it. And that is just one of billions of other galaxies. Like, we are so small compared to the grand scheme of things. And I know that sounds kind of out there, but I think once you take a step back and be like, I'm alive on this tiny planet. I'm breathing. I'm here. I'm okay. It kind of gives you a sense of awareness to take yourself out of the mental insanity that happens when you're having a problem and being like, just allowing you to breathe for a second. The next tip I have is to stay present. So something that would happen with me is that when I would be in a situation where I felt really out of control, or if something bad were to happen, I would then kind of cling on to that thought. And my brain would try to figure out what was going on, how to fix it. And of course, in a moment where like a problem happens, you need to be able to figure it out maybe in that moment. But I think a lot of us will tend to just dwell on feeling scared or feeling sad or feeling bad, whatever. Something that I've really tried to work on for myself is how to stay present. Stuff happens, stuff will hit us. But a lot of times that stuff doesn't stay around forever. Sometimes it does. But a lot of times it happens and then it leaves, but then we cling on to that feeling of feeling out of control or feeling depressed or whatever. So something that I've been trying to do is just stay present and be like, okay, that happened, that hurt, but like, I'm just going to do my best to just let it go and really focus on what's happening in this moment. Where am I at right now? What am I doing? What do I need to do today? So that I'm not so focused on what happened in the past or trying to predict what's going to happen in the future. The more that I can kind of stay present in the moment, it helps me feel like everything's okay. It's okay that I don't necessarily know where I'm going. I know where I'm at though. My last tip is figuring out how you can grow from a situation. This is something that I really had to take to heart because there was a time for a while where I felt like I just kept getting hit over and over again by all this different stuff. And I was like, what is happening? I feel so out of control. Everything that I kind of thought would be happening in my life is not going the way that I thought it would. But then something that I kind of did was I was like, what can I gain from this? Like, how can I use these situations that are happening to help make me a better person and help me grow? Because if they're going to happen anyway, might as well get something good out of it. So when things were happening, I would kind of sense stuff come up within me. I was like, oh, okay, so maybe I need to deal with my anxiety. Maybe I need to deal with the fact that I feel like a failure. Maybe I need to deal with the fact that I feel unlovable. And when those things were coming up, I kind of felt like it was the universe, whatever, the universe's way of being like, hey, these are things that you still need to work on. So the way that I thought about it was, I'm going to not miss this opportunity to take the things that are coming up from the chaos in my life and work through them and grow from them as much as possible, so I don't have to learn this lesson again, so that if stuff like this comes up again, I'll be able to handle it better next time. I think the more good that we can take from the difficult situations or situations where we feel really out of control, we'll be able to look back on those experiences and be like, hey, I actually grew from that. That actually was really valuable in my life. It was very difficult, but I then kind of became the person that I am today because of those experiences. A lot of times we only grow from things that are really hard. So having a growth mindset, I think, really helps in kind of getting through the difficult things. And the last tip that I have is recognizing that a change in perspective is incredibly powerful. Now, a disclaimer here. Obviously, there are things that happen that are incredibly painful. Somebody dies, an assault happens, etc. I don't know if I'm necessarily talking about those things, more so in the things that kind of we get caught up in the day-to-day, where we feel, again, really out of control. We don't know what's going on. I've noticed for myself that the way that I think about my life changes the way that I experience it. So one thing that I've talked about in previous episodes is that for a long time, I felt like my life was a journey, that I was just trying to get to a certain destination. When I got to that destination, then I would be able to kind of like be happy. One thing that I did in order to try to gain happiness now was changing my perspective about my life to not be a journey, to be more about an adventure. So instead of having to slog through every day to try to get to this eventual end goal, changing my perspective and being like, hey, every day is something new. I'm excited to see what I can learn. I'm excited to see what I can kind of grow from in my experiences, who I can meet. And I noticed just that shift in perspective, even though my outside circumstances didn't change, I didn't have any more control or know any more of what I was doing than I did before. Approaching life in a more positive and excited way helps me enjoy life more. So those are the tips that I have. I hope that they were helpful in some way. They're just, my thoughts. Take them as you will. But if you'd like to hear the song that inspired this episode, Crazy Stupid Life, you can listen to it using the link in the description. I'm really excited about this song. It's one that has kind of been like my anthem. It's a very positive song that's been all about, like, I have no control and that's all right. I'm just going to go and live my crazy stupid life. So I created a music video. It looks amazing. I'm really proud of it. So I hope you enjoy it. Please go listen to it. Let me know what you think in the comments. And I'm excited to see you next week to talk about the behind the scenes of the song, go a little bit deeper into how it was made, why I made it, the stories behind it. And then we're going to go back to our regular programming of talking to more guests. So thank you for joining, and I will see you next week.